Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Happy Tuesday. We are getting closer and closer to Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. So that's fun. But even though it is the Christmas season, it is also time to work on necromancy video games. So we're going to be doing that. Yeah, so today one of the things that I want to do is I want to play around with the alchemy system a little bit more, and I'll get into what exactly I want to do in just a second, but I want to also remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting, so definitely check that out and wishlist it if you like. You can also support the game on Patreon. If you support at the top tier here, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and also list your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So that's if you subscribe to the sponsor tier for at least 1 month. I also have the Udemy courses here. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. I've got a number of courses. I've got a C# course, I've got a single-player course, multiplayer course, so a wide variety of things to check out there. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Oh, you can also join the Discord. That's available in the description below as well. Okay, let me figure out what we're doing here. Hello, Clickertail, welcome back. Hello, V, good to see you. Courier Games, welcome back. Not Nomics, good to see you again. Ninja Link, good morning to you. Welcome back, everybody. Here it's 3 p.m. Good afternoon, then. Time is just a feeling, yeah. Anyone has any ideas for a game with a theme iced? A snowman that is also a hitman. Good to hear that. Let's see. Big up from France. Awesome work. Thank you, Apple. Appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's see if we can do some alchemy stuff today. So there's one thing I want to do, which is I made this Nautilus cup. Going to the gym now, don't mean not while I'm not here, or I'll tell Santa. Yeah, well, Santa's always watching, so you won't need to tell him. How do you make the promotional content for your games? Are you talking about like the Steam trailer and the Steam store page assets? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about like general marketing? Anyway, so I have this Nautilus cup here that I made a while ago. Yes to both. Yeah, for the Steam page, yeah, I mean, you might not want to take my lead on this because I'm not very good at it, but I hired somebody for the trailer for Alchemortis. Otherwise, you know, I just make the trailer myself, but this time I hired somebody for the trailer for Alchemortis. For the screenshots, what I do is I just record a bunch of gameplay footage with OBS, and then I go through the video and I just take stills from the video for the screenshots that I want. For the Steam capsule art, yeah, again, that's just kind of like a crapshoot. It's basically just, here's all the sizes that I need. If I make my own capsule art like I did with Alchemortis, I'll just figure out some kind of theme or motif that can fit all the capsules, and I'll just make all the different sizes with that. With Gunforged, I hired somebody to do the Gunforged illustration, and then I also paid them to give me the Photoshop files. So I was able to go into Photoshop and rearrange everything for all the different capsule sizes. And then for general marketing, yeah, again, that's not something that I'm very familiar with. So far, my general marketing effort has been just like YouTube videos. So devlogs, and then I need to start doing some more shorts. I'm going to start doing some more like micro tutorials and then use those as, you know, shout outs for my game. But yeah, I'm not the right person to ask about how to like market the game and how to do promotional stuff, because that is definitely a weak point for me. So I have to get that figured out for Alchemortis for sure. Yeah, I used Affinity Photo 2 because it's basically a Photoshop clone, but you don't have to pay monthly for it. You'd have to pay once for it, but Yeah, that's how I did it. I usually just create a giant document with all of the different Steam capsule sizes as black boxes. And all the black boxes are on different layers. And then what I can do is I can see all the Steam capsules in the same document. But then what I can do is export the individual layers cropped to those black boxes. And then I have all of my Steam capsules. And if I'm feeling very motivated, I will automate that process with a macro, so I can just export the whole document and it will spit out all of my capsules. Hi, I submitted my first game to a 3-day game jam. Your videos helped me a lot and I'm really happy with the result. I'm using Godot and excited to learn C# to improve my projects. Thanks for the tips. Well, you're welcome, Who? Appreciate that. And welcome back. Bubblegum Lord, hello, welcome. Devlogs and streaming, yes. That's also a good promotional... Well, it's not... I don't know if I would call it a good promotional thing, but... you know, I think it... Obviously, it's helpful for the game. Because you all are here supporting it, which is very much appreciated. So I created this Nautilus cup here, which is actually a real artifact. If you go ahead and look up a Nautilus cup online, they're pretty cool. But I want to figure out what abilities to add to this Nautilus cup now. So I was thinking it could do something with poison. So I'm trying to think. I was thinking it could be something interesting, like it could work off of poison damage that the player has taken, or it could just do some kind of heal or something. Maybe it could scale somehow off of alchemical cards. I don't know. I really don't know. Let's make it do something interesting. Ability type tracker provider. Do I have like a damage taken provider? I do. Damage type. Cool. So I'm going to try to do something interesting here. Pre-Christmas game development. Yes, indeed. Welcome, the Dawlight. Welcome back, I should say. So var damage taken provider is equal to new damage taken provider. Let's do... I mean, I was going to make it scale off of poison, but... damage taken provider. Trying to think, is this really going to be that interesting of an ability? I'm thinking we could track the amount of damage, the poison damage taken from the player. You celebrate on the 25th. Yeah, Christmas is on the 25th. It's interesting seeing your C# code. It sort of makes me wish I had done my game in C#. I like GDScript, but certain things are annoying. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be annoying things with any language, I think. I mean, one of the annoying things about C# is that it's relatively verbose. So you need to write a lot of boilerplate code a lot of times just to get the script to compile. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about this. We got to make this an interesting ability. Damage taken provider, poison. Actually, let's flip it around. Do I have an ability that applies poison for every time the player has healed? Maybe I'll just do that. Ability type tracker provider. Type of heal. So now we can do this. Var value scalar is equal to new value scalar. Damage taken provider. No, this is the ability type. Let's do heal tracker. Value scalar dot set multiplier. Base multiplier. Const float base multiplier. It's 1. Var dynamic poison is equal to new dynamic magnitude ability. Let's do the value scalar in there. New poison. Okay, heal tracker. Dynamic poison. Okay, scaling function var scalar is equal to ability scalars dot make float additive scalar. Var multiplier scalar base multiplier tier value scalar set multiplier. Cool. Apply value scalar get multiplier poison for each time heal was applied since last execution. Okay, so apply that poison for each time heal is applied. That works. I think that's going to work. So poison per heal. And then what else should we do with the Nautilus cup here? Because it's a 2x2 card. Maybe it should scale a little bit better. Let's do var heal is equal to new composed ability. We'll give the Nautilus cup a heal as well. How do you balance your stuff? When I'm making moves, I just make them and have not balanced them all yet. Yeah, I mean, balancing is interesting because there's, and this is, again, I'm not an expert on balancing, so I'm just going to tell you how I think about it. I'm not going to say this is how you should do it. But balancing is interesting because there's a number of ways to balance, because there's asymmetric balancing, but then there's like symmetric balancing. Asymmetric balancing being that everything or a lot of things in your game could be obviously very strong, but the way that you balance them is that they either have a very niche application or they have a very obvious downside. So you can make something that's very powerful, but only in specific contexts, right? And then the other way to approach balancing is just to like plug everything into a spreadsheet and make everything roughly equivalent in power, however you measure that. And I think that, like for roguelike games, you want to allow players to feel super powerful, which means that you need to have items that can be super powerful in the right circumstance. So the way that I'm approaching balancing for this game is I want every card to feel useful at a base level. I want every card to have an ability that is useful, or several abilities that are useful. And what I do when I playtest the game is I just basically observe through my own behavior what cards am I not choosing very often and what cards am I choosing very often. And if I find myself gravitating towards certain cards or certain abilities every playthrough, that is an indicator to me that I have not done a good job either with balancing those types of cards and abilities or bringing up the power level of all of the other things that I'm not choosing. And then it just becomes a judgment call of whether, okay, am I choosing this one because it's very obviously super powerful, or am I choosing this one because I'm not getting any other interesting options? And that I'm just doing it basically like vibes based. I'm not looking at numbers and I'm not saying, well, this does 10 DPS and this one does 12 DPS, so let's flatten those curves. What I'm trying to do instead is, if I'm not choosing a card, it might be because the abilities aren't interesting enough. So what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll remake the ability to give it something new or some other kind of scaling or give it some other kind of niche application that can make it useful. Sometimes I'll just say, hey, this card is just weak, so I'll just buff the numbers. And sometimes I'll say, well, this card, it has one powerful ability, but if I added another powerful ability on it, then it could be more attractive as an option. And then, with the alchemy system in the game, that's a whole different balancing consideration because you can merge all the different card abilities together. And so balancing that doesn't really become about balancing the individual abilities. It becomes about balancing the alchemy system and trying to rein in, how powerful the player can get from alchemy, or not to rein it in, but to make the cost of getting something good out of alchemy, make the cost in line with the power that you get out of it, right? So that's a matter of balancing, how much does the alchemy cost? How much does the randomness in the alchemy output affect the power level? All that good stuff. So all of that is to say that it's a big crapshoot. It's mostly vibes based. And what I'm doing is I'm just playing my own game and I'm trying to observe what behaviors I'm falling into. And if I'm consistently falling into the same set of behaviors, like I'm avoiding the alchemy system or I'm always gravitating toward a certain card, that is an imbalance that needs to be addressed. And that can be addressed in a number of ways. I can, like I said, I can change the abilities, I can change the costs of things, I can change the difficulty of combat, I can change the player health. Like, there's all kinds of different levers to pull. And mostly it's like a giant science experiment, right? You go in and you change something and you hope to achieve a certain result, but then I might notice that the change that I made either introduced new problems or didn't really fix the problem that I was trying to fix initially. And that's why I've been iterating on the alchemy system a lot, and that's why I've been iterating on the balance, like the map structure and balance a lot, is because I'm trying to solve certain problems, and sometimes the things that I change either don't fully solve the problems or they introduce new problems that need to be solved. So it's kind of like, it's vibes-based development. It's a bunch of whack-a-mole. It's a bunch of playtesting, observing my own behaviors. It's a bunch of, opening up the playtests and listening to what people like Ninja Link have to say, or anyone else who has left feedback. And then, taking that into consideration as well. So I know that's not a helpful answer, but that's how I'm approaching it, and it's vibes based. There is a mathematical way to look at it. I think, and that's a valid way to do it. Like, I am doing some mathematical balancing, like with the determining the difficulty of combat encounters in Alchemortis is basically a mathematical algorithm. I basically create a score for each node, which is the sum of all of the scores of all of the nodes that you'd have to traverse to get to that node. And then I add some biasing, I add some fudging of the numbers, and then I make an enemy board. I generate an enemy board that fits that score. So that's basically just like a mathematical approach to generating enemy boards. That's still largely a crapshoot because all the numbers that I make up for the individual node scores are made up. They're just like vibes-based scores. So I say, this one feels like it should have a score of 60. And if that ends up creating combat encounters that are too difficult, then I'll bump it down to 50 or 40 or whatever. Actually, I can actually show you that. So this is the difficulty scorer here. You can see that I've assigned a score to each type of node in the game. And you can see that a grow board has a score of 80, which indicates that this is a very large power spike for the player. Whereas things like the max health have a lower score because it's kind of like a lower power spike. And even the combat nodes, they have a low score associated with them because they reward blood. So I'm kind of scoring each of the nodes sort of in line with the perceived power level that the player gets from the node. And again, all of these are just like made up numbers. And then the algorithm, what it does is it basically tracks all the, it calculates the optimal path to whatever node I need to generate a combat encounter for. And it adds some, biasing in here. And then that's the score that the combat will generate with. So that is like a mathematical approach to balancing the game. But in terms of like, I could take the same approach to the abilities, but what I would have to do is I would have to assign a score for each unique ability in the game, which is basically every single one. Like most cards in the game have totally unique abilities that don't appear on any other card. And so I'd have to go in and score each of those individually and like change the scores if the ability changes, or change the scores if the balance is wrong. And that is going to be too much work for not a whole lot of benefit. So that's where the vibes-based balancing comes in. People worry about C# and GDScript too much. GDScript is perfectly fine for 99% of projects. Yeah. Vibes-driven development, yep. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on balancing. Real interesting stuff. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Exception would be if you are designing cards that are universal for different builds. It's logical that you pick them more than specific ones. Right, yeah. And like, that's the other thing with balancing too. It's like, it's not necessarily a problem if a certain card gets picked more than other cards, because again, if you want to have cards in the game that have like niche applications, then they are definitionally going to be chosen less, right? But balancing those niche cards is more about making sure that they fit really well into their niche and that a player can see how that card could be really useful, even if, the amount of situations where you can actually use that card effectively are few and far between, right? So that's another thing about balancing, especially in roguelites. It's like, not everything needs to be chosen equally. You could have your bread and butter build that like works for the most part, and then you could have that 1 in 20 runs build that's like super specific and dialed in, and that's not necessarily a problem, right? Honey, what are you doing? No, don't eat this. No. The dog was eating paper. All right. Anyway, good morning, Chris. Could you add something like data tracking to playtest to see which cards are played more often? I could, yeah. I just don't think I'm at the point where I need data tracking, because I can see within my own playtesting which cards I don't choose very often. I may need to add some kind of data tracking in the future, but I don't think I need that yet. In my game, I have a full stat system in types. Pokemon uses type advantages, which I have too, but I'm also trying to make the stats counter each other. High dodge is strong against high attack. Gotcha. Vibes-based development is my new favorite phase. Yeah. In terms of stat increases, I really like the way Vampire Private does it. Big numbers equals fun. Yeah, I think that's the one thing Yeah, I think upgrades should be noticeable in roguelike games. Any game, really. Like, so I'm going to say something that's a little bit controversial, but I don't like the game Deep Rock Galactic. And the reason why I don't like it is because the progression system is like, it's so unbelievably unsatisfying, because all of the upgrades you get are like tiny, barely noticeable percentage increases in numbers. And it's just like, I have no doubt that that makes a difference in like your run, but it feels so unsatisfying as a player to put a point into like a permanent upgrade and then not notice it, basically. I really, really, really don't like when games do that. It like turns me off immediately. The best advice I ever got was to get yourself a Ninja Link, yeah. Hello, Felsefi. I'm pretty beginner in game development, unfortunately, in a communist country, France. Okay. So I don't sell my future dream game. The government is going to take 70% of my earnings. Yeah, well. Oh, shoot. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to have a discussion on tax rates, but taxes suck, that's for sure. Oh, chill, yeah. Just the way you came into the chat with that comment, I don't know why, it just struck me so funny. Just make it for you. Very few people make any money doing game dev. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, yeah. Obviously, there are considerations to be made when you're trying to make money on it. You know, my tax burden isn't exactly low in the United States either, so. Sorry, I tested the chat, yeah. Show animal. No, he's running around. It's okay. Interested to know about what version control the game uses and branch structure. I'm just using Git, and basically everything goes into the master branch. If I'm doing some kind of overhaul, then I'll do a different branch for that, just to keep it isolated from the main branch. And then if that overhaul pans out, I'll merge that back into master. But basically everything gets committed to master. There's no fancy branch system. I want to make a procedural animation system in 2D with TensorFlow library, then import this my Godot project. Is that possible? I have no idea. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about procedural animations. Honey, fiance or cat? Honey is the dog's name. My fiance's dog slash my dog, I guess now. Your staunch believer shouldn't balance fun out of the game. Yeah, I think that's right. Your build is overpowered and great to play. Lean into it, make other stuff great too. Yeah, that's what I think. Deep Rock's progression is the worst part of the game. Otherwise, it's so solid. Yeah, yeah. Respecs are a must. Man discovers taxes. Yeah. I saw my name scroll by while I was in a meeting. Oh, I was just mentioning how useful your feedback was for the playtests in balancing the game. Taxes are roughly the same across the Western world. There's always a way to pay very little taxes getting started. Well, my CPA has not managed to make my tax burden $0, so. It's just a flat tax of like $100 a year in here if you're in less than 80K. Well, that sounds nice. I'd love to pay $100 on 80K. My strategy for Git is to have a master branch and then branch off for some feature, but I usually don't stick to that feature and just do whatever I want, then PR to main. Yeah, that's what I do, yeah. Did I miss an announcement? You are engaged? Yes, I am engaged. Yeah. I didn't really I don't know if I made like a big announcement about that. I've just been kind of mentioning it in passing, but yes, I am. Yes, I am. Happy to help, yeah. Yeah, your help is greatly appreciated, and everyone's help is greatly appreciated. Okay, let's get back into some code. Query target provider is equal to new query target provider. Query target provider dot query options dot card tag filter is equal to card tag dot alchemical. Oh, let's make this interesting. Query target provider dot query options dot query directions is equal to board inventory component dot query directions dot. We're gonna do top edge, so I'm gonna need to add that then. Left, up, right, down, left, adjacent, entire board. Edges, left, adjacent. Okay, I'm gonna rework some of these. Not rework, but I want to just make these in a better order. It doesn't matter, but up. So let's do top edge, up, right, down, left, up. Let's do right edge. Top right, bottom edge. Left adjacent, let's do right adjacent. No. Top adjacent. I'm just filling out, I'm stubbing a bunch of these up. Stubbing a bunch of these out, I guess. Okay. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Oh wait, do I need to start this at 0? Ah, I did this wrong. Honey, off. Good boy. Okay. I think that's right. So we're gonna do top edge. Let's finish writing this out first, and then we will test it. These animals. Will you chill? Can you chill? Thank you, Jahar. Appreciate that. In Germany, you pay a lower ratio of taxes on income and revenue if you don't earn much. I think not earning much should be an achievable goal as an indie game dev. Yeah, not earning much is definitely achievable. Are y'all 50 or something? Why are you talking tax rates? Well, congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. Thank you. We should abolish taxes. Firebelly is 45. I wish I was successful enough as a dev to start worrying about taxes. Contribute as much as you can to tax-advantaged accounts. Well, if you're in a situation like me, you need all your monthly income to pay for your bills and stuff. If they're gonna tax the whole negative 160 I made on my game. Here for cause for love of the game, earnings from game dev are low priority. Okay, so we're going to do something based, we're gonna do heal. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so distracting. These animals are going crazy right now. Anyway, so we're going to heal based on alchemical cards on the top edge. So let's do var value scalar is equal to new value scalar query target provider value scalar dot set multiplier. Let's do 4. Actually, let's do 5. Okay, var scalar is equal to get heal scalar ability scalars dot get heal scalar. const float base multiplier is equal to 5. Base multiplier. Okay, get heal scalar. Cannot convert from float to int. Cool. We'll do int then. Value scalar set multiplier multiplier. We're going to do the query target provider here, and then we're going to do the, oh, we need to do dynamic heal. Dynamic heal is equal to new dynamic magnitude ability, value scalar, new heal 0, dynamic heal. Now, can I use the, so we're going to do, hold on a second. We're going to do heal, value scalar, get multiplier, per, can I use this query target provider, get query options to query string? Yeah, so I think this will work. I'm going to need to add something to the query description, but I think that will work. We'll do the heal first. Okay, but I need to do this top edge now. So I think we have left edge. If query options dot query directions dot has flag query directions dot top edge cells get cells in column, no, get cells in row to left equals false. Standalone cells union with top edge cells except occupied cells. Okay. We need to do the same thing here. Top edge, get cells in row, union with top edge cells. Okay. So I think that's good. All right. So we got the top edge there. So I'm going to need to update this query string now. Query directions dot has flag query directions dot top edge honey, no, good boy. Hello, Neozoid. Welcome back. I honestly got into game making because no one made the game I wanted to play. Yeah, that's a good reason. That's one reason I got into any of the hobbies I've got. Writing, CAD design, music, games. Yeah. Space genre very underutilized. Game dev is a nice creative outlet. That's why I like it too, because it's like there's a lot going on in game dev, a lot of different things. So you gotta exercise your programming skills, exercise your art skills. That's why I like it. Tried to make an idle progression game, but never finished anything. That unfortunately is very common in the game dev, especially the hobby space. Make my first game too large, yeah. It's nice hanging out, but unfortunately I have to go. Good luck with development. See you, everybody. All right, thanks for joining, Bubblegum Lord. And I hope to see you in a future stream. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see. Do we think that I did it right to start? Let's see. Let's see what it does. Okay. Oh, I didn't turn on enable test player cards. Okay. Nautilus Cup. Heal 5 per allied alchemical cards. Oh. That's not good. So I'm going to need to modify that. Heal 5 per allied alchemical card on the top edge of the board. Apply 1 poison for each time heal was applied since last execution. Is this not working? Wait a minute. Ability type tracker provider. Track entire history true. Oh, that's not good. Well, maybe it's okay. Well, let's just see. I have to modify that highlighting later, I think, but I think it will work. I'm making a very hard bullet hell type game. I'm just wondering, is limited use checkpoints too mean or not really? It's hard to say. I mean, it is, you know, it depends on what your game is like. Yeah, it's just, you're gonna have to make that decision for your own game. Without context, I don't know if anyone can really say for sure which would be better. Gotta play test it. MVP and polish, yes. Okay, let's see what happens. So if I... There we go, nice. So that is working. Okay, it's working. I don't know about the highlighting here. I don't know why this. Apply 1 poison for each time heal was applied since last execution. I don't know about that, but, you know, we'll figure it out. Anyway, I'm going to call that good for now. I'll worry about the highlighting stuff later, I suppose. Oh, I need to figure out how to change this language here. Well, this is a little bit... how am I going to resolve this? Let's see. Oh, building these strings is not fun. Heal 5 per allied alchemical card on the top edge of the board. So that needs to say card instead of cards. What am I going to do about this? Whatever, we'll just do bool force card singular. We'll just do that. And then I got to do query options, to query string, force card singular true. That system's probably gonna have to be redone at some point, but every time I come back, I find a new card I've not seen being made or used before. Yeah, we're pumping out the content. Okay, that should work. I'm just gonna call that good for now. We'll worry about that later. Okay, finish Nautilus cup. All right, now we're gonna get to the meat of what I wanted to do this stream, which is I want to play with the Alchemy system a little bit more, this Alchemy Manager. So I really liked, in the playtest I did on yesterday's stream, I really liked how the Alchemy felt. I liked how useful the large cards were. There is still one problem with the Alchemy system that I want to address, which is that when you get a lot of abilities on a card, it tends to be a little bit too noisy. So like if I have got 10 abilities on the card, like that's fun, but the problem is it's hard as a player to keep track of everything that that card is doing. And also it just kind of dilutes the meaning of the Alchemy system, I think, because you just throw a bunch of abilities and like this card is super powerful now and it does all kinds of, you know, different things. It becomes a Swiss Army knife. So what I'd like to test is reining in the number of abilities that can be placed on a card a little bit, make the Alchemy a little bit more focused. I would much rather have the player, you know, get 3 or 4 abilities on a card that they're looking for, rather than just like a smorgasbord of like 10 different abilities on a card. Because as you add abilities to the card too, that increases the negative abilities on the card, and that can, yeah, it's just a little bit noisy. So I want to make the Alchemy a little bit more focused in terms of like reducing the number of abilities that get alchemized onto cards. And then I also want to increase the variety of the output. So I want to reduce, like in certain Alchemy situations, you get cards that are outputted that are very similar to each other. What I want to try doing is limit, or not limit, but make sure every card is as unique as possible from the Alchemy output, so you have 3 different meaningful choices to make when you're done with Alchemy. So we are going to try that. I don't know exactly how that's going to go, but this is the code that we need to edit. So yeah, that's what I want to do. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but we will see. Oh no, I hear a nerf coming. Can people post their own stuff in the Discord? Yes, yeah. There's a game dev channel where you can post your stuff. Feel free to do so. Limiting the number of abilities on a card is a must. Yeah, and I want to do it in a way... that where you can still get a lot of abilities on a card, but it's maybe harder to do that. So yeah, I don't know how to do that. We're going to have to just play around with it. Still think it would be good for UX to find a way to make the tooltip combine similar abilities and denote the number of ability slots it takes up. I almost never see the inspector used anymore. Yeah, we'll figure all that out later. BRB gonna post my game in the Discord. Could have a chance to boost the current abilities instead, like give them a higher roll. Yeah, we could, well, the abilities themselves don't have rolls. The abilities scale based on the card tier, so when the card tier goes up, all of the abilities on that card will get more powerful. But anyway, we'll figure it out. So we've got this all abilities to randomize here. Min abilities to take and max abilities to take. So this min and max here. I'm going to try something a little bit different, I think. No. Good boy. Do I want... Let me think. How do I want to do this? I could make it based on the size of the card, so larger cards are more likely to have more abilities. But I also need to preserve this negative abilities system. Because right now it could take up to all of the abilities that are put into the alchemy system. But I don't know if that's good. Don't know if that's good. We'll figure it out. So Godot, new Godot UI make anyone else feel more professional? I haven't downloaded the new version of Godot. I think it's the same theme that I'm using though. Hello, Severus Nair. Welcome. Good to see you. Maybe diminishing returns the more abilities the card has, the less effective they are. Yeah, that could work. Might be useful to make it so that the card's natural abilities take priority over new ones. Yeah, that could work. Maybe a higher weight. Maybe the more abilities the card has, the more consequences there is to add more. Yeah, that already exists, but I still think there's too many abilities on the card. C# is better than GD script? No, it's just a matter of personal preference. They each have their strengths. Should have been default a long time ago. It saves so much space and condenses everything. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will figure out what to do with this alchemy. We'll just start playing around with some things. I'll make a new branch, alchemy adjustments. So yeah, when I come back, we'll just start playing around and see what we can do. All right, so I will be right back in 3 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. All right. Let's figure out what to do with this alchemy system here. Min abilities to take, max abilities to take. Min abilities to take, max abilities to take. So, yeah. So this, especially with legendary cards, that's a big issue. So, trying to think of what kind of system would be good here. What would feel good? Because basically the way that the alchemy system works is that all of the abilities of all the cards that you put into the alchemy, they get added to a big pool of abilities, and then the outputs will pull randomly from that pool. So you've got the pool of abilities that the outputs can pull from, but then the outputs have to choose how many of those abilities to pull from the pool. So I don't really know what a good way to do that is. I mean, I could do it based on the card size. So I could say that, you know, a card that occupies 4 cells could get like 4 abilities or whatever. And then add some randomization to that. But I don't know. I don't know. This is a tricky thing. Maybe a card can only gain a number of abilities equal to its base number plus the average base of cards it combines with. Then it'd be more like a merging process from small to large. Yeah, I think something like that could work. I mean, I could do it based on card size as well. Why is this so tricky? I'm wondering, maybe I should make it based on the card size. But then there's the question of what to do about the negative alchemy system. Here's what I could do. I might have to change the negative alchemy system again, because the way that the negative alchemy system works now is that each card has a stability value. So larger cards are more stable, which means that they can support more abilities before they accrue negative abilities. But if I instead make the number of abilities that a card can have based on the card size, then I need to do something different with the negative alchemies. I think the negative alchemy outputs, I could change that so that every time you alchemize a card, it adds a negative alchemy. So if you alchemize a card multiple times, it just keeps adding negative abilities to it. That could work. The other thing that I could do is, instead of taking a random number of abilities, I could just... add one ability. So if I took, let me see if this makes sense. So let's say that I put 3 cards in the board. Oh, let's keep it simple. Let's say I put 2 cards in the board. One card has 1 ability and the other card has 2 abilities. What I could do is I could increase the number of abilities in the outputs by 1, which means that every output of that alchemy would have either 2 or 3 abilities. So again, the inputs having 1 ability and 2 abilities, then the outputs would have 2 and 3. So every time you alchemize, it would add 1 ability to the card, like 1 in terms of the count. And that would be a way that you could get a lot of abilities on a card, but it would also slow down the progression. Like, it wouldn't just be about like throwing a bunch of cards into the mix and hoping that you just get a card with 10 ability outputs. You would have to do multiple rounds of alchemization on the same card to continue building out the number of abilities that it has. That might work. Went to make a recording of my game and accidentally had Firebelly talking in the background. Oops. Yeah, there is a way to in OBS to capture audio only from certain EXEs. Only from certain executables. Yeah, maybe that will be the way to do it. So nice. I think this might be the way to do it. So I'm gonna try this. Instead of taking a random number of abilities, we'll just add 1 ability onto the card if it gets alchemized. So how is that gonna work? So we have the So here's what we would do. So we've got the, I'm gonna get rid of this min abilities to take and max abilities to take here. Or maybe, yeah. Well, maybe that's not gonna work. This is gonna get very complicated. Okay, let's do this. Private. Shoot. Gosh, this is going to be hard. I just realized that this isn't going to work either. Yeah. All right, we'll handle the gold transmutation in a second. To do this doesn't work properly. Gold gets transmuted on every construction of alchemy input config. Okay, anyway. Let's see what happens. It's going to get very complicated, yeah. I don't like this chat experience thing outing me as a yapper. Seeing Firebelly struggle, yeah. Glad that game development is a universal struggle for everyone. Yeah, it's a struggle mostly for game design reasons. I'm just trying to think of what would be appropriate for this. I mean, it's a struggle technically, I guess, too, but anyway. So let's do this. Let's do private dictionary string int card ID to new ability count is equal to this. Okay, so we're gonna do this now. Instead of min and max abilities to take, I'm gonna get rid of this. We are going to do var non-reagent input card in non-reagent input cards. What we're going to do here is we are going to get base composed abilities dot count all abilities to randomize. We're going to get rid of this. So ability count. Oh, we could have multiple card IDs though. Oh gosh. Okay. Let's do base card then. Card to new ability count. Ability count +1, so we'll increase it by 1. Get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. This doesn't need to be inside the if block. Okay. Card to new ability count. Cool. So now in here, I don't know if this is going to work. Var alchemized ability count is equal to cards new ability count first to default equals dot value. Okay. So we got the alchemized ability count here. I'm gonna put this here. Abilities to take. Yeah. Alchemized ability count. I still don't know what to do about the legendary here, but let's see. Let's just see what happens. Watching the stream has made me feel a lot better about myself. Seeing a game dev I respect also struggle. Yeah. My favorite thing is to implement something and then discover I don't like it in practice. Yeah. Firebelly's getting burnout, I think. No, I'm not getting burnout. Just assume everything I do is bad. Okay, let's see. So, Lambone Ring, Gorgon Head. Let's do that. So this now has 3 abilities. That now has 3 abilities. And this has 2 abilities. So you can see it increased the number of abilities by 1 for every card. So that kind of is working the way that I want it to. So let's see. And the negative alchemy system is still working. So let's do Snail Cat. This one, and then Lambone Ring. So the Snail Cat got 3 abilities. It has a turn cooldown of 2. This one has 3 abilities. This one has 3 abilities. Okay, so now if I take this guy here, and then I add it to another alchemy here, I should be able to get a Morning Star now that has 4 abilities on it, as well as a Gorgon Head with 3 abilities. Well, I didn't get a Gorgon Head, but this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How did that get 6 abilities? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How did that get 5 abilities? Did I count wrong? It's got 3 abilities here. Oh, it's probably counting the negative abilities. That's what's probably happening. It's going to get 5 ability because it has 4 abilities if you include the negative ability. So I think that's what I need to do here. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. It's counting the negative abilities on it. Okay. So I need to exclude the negative abilities from here. Get based dot and not x dot is negative ability. I can see this working though. I can definitely see this working. That left edge thing should probably only apply when it's actually on your board. Well, the problem is like the cards are agnostic as to what board they're on, because there could potentially be a situation in theory where the Snail Cat is on an enemy board, for instance. So that probably will never happen in actuality, but the abilities are all agnostic. Like if an ability scales off of its position on a board, it's whatever the current board it's on. So they're just like super generic in that sense. Crangled. Anyway, let's try this again. Okay, so now we've got these Morning Stars here. And then if I put this with the Snail Cat, so this Morning Star should get 4 base abilities now. And I didn't get a Morning Star out of that. Cool, cool, cool. Tight, tight, tight. Let's try it again. I think I'm liking the direction this is going though, because it gives you more control over the alchemy system. It gives you more control over the alchemy system for sure. So we've got this now. Put this back in here. Put the snail cat in there. And I didn't get a morning star again. This game is rigged. Morning star. Should get 4 abilities out of this. There we go. So now the morning star has 4 abilities. So yeah, every time you alchemize a card, it adds 1 ability to it. And randomizes the abilities. Does that... So let's just do a temperature check here. Does that feel good to everyone? So if I kept alchemizing this morning star, like so, I would keep getting 1 additional ability added to it, but also 1 additional negative added to it. How does that feel to everybody? I think it would feel misleading if you get it from Alchemy and it says 2 turn cooldown when it really isn't. Could you just add a flag to the board as combat board or not? But it is. It is a 2 turn cooldown if it's on the left edge of the board. I mean, I could add like a little, maybe I could do something to the tooltip to indicate that the turn cooldown is modified from its base turn cooldown. I could add maybe like a little UI indicator, but I really don't want to like start adding flags about like what board it's on, because the whole system is designed to be completely agnostic. I don't want to start introducing a bunch of conditionality to that system. Just thinking from a new player perspective. The game is rigged, says the guy with cheating shortcuts. See those 100 blood increments? Yeah. I think I'm liking the way that this alchemy is working. It's adding a new ability every time and also randomizing the abilities. Okay, so that is okay. And it's also incrementing the negative abilities. So what happens if I do this now? I think the alchemy change could work. Large cards would be unpredictable and small would be more predictable. Yeah. Let me do a bunch of, do I have a bunch of small cards? Let me add some more. Let me see what that does. Project. Oops. Let's add incense. Let's add, I forgot what other 1x1 cards here. Maggot. Okay. Oh, one thing that I need to do actually is let's do var matched card ID. Matched card. We're gonna do, oh, let's do key. I'm not gonna do any conditionals here. Alchemized ability count is equal to matched card, and then we're going to do card to new ability count matched card dot remove matched card. Yep. Trade-off for that great stability versus weak stability. Yeah. What is the thing you're doing in the project settings? You can have custom project settings. You can add custom project settings to your project file through this little area here. And it's just a bunch of data that you can put in your project file for your own purposes. And so I'm using it for debug configuration, so I can basically define what my starting inventory is, and then it just makes testing easier. Oops. Why didn't that work? Oh, right, I can remove it. Oh, yeah, shoot. This is actually not going to work, this card to new ability count, because if I have two cards of the same type, well, I'll just do this. Where order by X Matthew Till RNG.randF. So I'll just solve that by just finding all of the card to new ability count entries where the card is equal to the random card ID. We're going to order it randomly, take the first, and grab the value. Okay, that should work. Quick non sequitur, is your Udemy Survivors course in C#? It is not, no. It is not. Sale price is compelling. Yeah, I only have one C# course, and the C# course very specifically shows that it's a C# course. So if you don't see mention of C#, it's GDScript. Do you prefer C# over GDScript in general, or for this specific project? Yeah, I generally prefer it for all my Godot games. I'm just very comfortable with C#, and I like all the tooling and structure it gives me. So, yeah. Yeah, this is looking actually very interesting now. This is looking very interesting. And then if I take this Lambone ring and I alchemize it with this Morning Star, now I wonder if it should, maybe it should just have a chance to add a new ability instead of adding a new ability every time, but that's something that we could test later. I really like how that feels though. You definitely feel like you have a little bit more control. And the nice thing about that too is that the previous problem with the alchemy system is you could alchemize stuff and it could just absolutely like brick your card. But now that it's just adding a new ability, even though the abilities are still randomized, it's not like you're going to be losing power. Although what I could do is I could have it have a 50% chance to go up one and a 50% chance to go down one. That could be something that I do. But I generally think that this approach is a little bit nicer. Yeah. Bought the other course, just need to crack it open. Awesome, thank you. Don't really care about the white space aspect. That's a good idea. What, you like the chance to go down one or up one? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll see what we can do about that then. Let's see. I think I need to rework a lot of this. Never go lower than the base abilities the card has. I have a course too about multiplayer, but I never really bothered to watch it. I realize I'm not actually interested in knowing how multiplayer works, especially the Frankenstein Godot has. Yeah, I think what I would like to see is I would like to see the Godot developers spend a lot more time making the multiplayer functionality even better. Like, I think it's relatively good, but there are a bunch of annoyances and there's a lot of like nice to haves that aren't there. I just think that if the Godot developers like focused some time on the multiplayer system, Godot could be like, it could have a multiplayer system that's like really, really easy to use and very developer friendly. But it's just not there. But you can definitely make multiplayer games with it. It's just, I would love to see them like nail multiplayer aspect and just make it as easy as possible for a developer to make a multiplayer game. Would love to see it. Gonna dip. Have a good day, everyone. All right, thanks for joining Courier Games. Always good to see you. I hope you have a good day. So this whole alchemy thing is going to need to change. Also, I need to figure out what to do about legendary cards now. I'm just trying to think of how I want to approach this. Well, we can just test it easily right now. Let's do +1 times mathutil.rng.rand sign. Okay, so it has a 50% chance to go up and a 50% chance to go down. Let's see what that does. Oops. So that has 2 abilities, that has 2 abilities, that has 2 abilities. Okay. I would like to see it stay at 1 if possible. Nope. There we go. So that one stayed at 1. So most of these are getting an ability added. What if I do this? Cool. Let's take one here. Yeah, that seems to be working pretty good. Did that Morning Star have all of its negative abilities removed? Oh, it did. Oh, that's interesting. Because the Morning Star went down back to its stability level and abilities, the negative ability got removed from it. Oh, that's interesting. That is a side effect that I was not expecting, but it's a happy little accident, I suppose. That is actually really interesting. I think I'm liking how this is looking. Let's just do some more tests here. Do that. Grab the Lambone ring, put this on with these things. Yeah, so that Lambone ring now has 1 ability without any negatives. That has 1 ability. This has 3 abilities with 1 negative. Interesting. Interesting. I think that's feeling pretty good. Okay, so there's a bunch of problems here. I will need to update this get negative ability count. Where is that? Get negative ability data. This is going to have to change. Yeah. So I'm going to have to update this method. Works with the changes. Would it be possible for a card to lose all of its abilities? No, what I have done is I've forced it to have 1 ability. At least 1 ability, so it can't go below 1. But yeah, I guess if you alchemized a card multiple times and you got unlucky, then it could go all the way down to 1 ability rather than going up. But I think that's fine. So that's actually feeling very good, especially with the negative ability system now. It's a lot more predictable for the player, which is the most important thing. It's a lot easier to hold in your mind, oh, this may gain or lose an ability, than it is to say, oh, it could have anywhere from 1 to 10 abilities, you know? What does the Nautilus Cup do? The Nautilus Cup heals based on alchemical cards on the top edge of the board, and it also applies poison for each time heal was applied. So yeah, that's what that does. Okay, cool. Well, I'm liking that. I think that this alchemy is going in a good direction now. I do need to figure out what to do about legendaries, and I also need to figure out there's a issue with gold here, so I'm gonna need to figure this out. There's a lot of stuff to do with this, but initial work on alchemy tweaks. I'm actually very optimistic about this, though. I think this is feeling a lot better already. So I just need to go through and figure out. I think this whole approach to all this code here is going to need to change. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I have some stuff to do this afternoon, so I'm going to end the stream a little bit early there. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Always appreciated. And if you want, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. The link for that is in the description below. You also can join the Discord. Feel free again to share your game projects in the Discord when you join. And also you could support the game on Patreon, subscribe to the channel, like the video, all that good stuff. And yeah, I will probably be streaming tomorrow. I know it's Christmas Eve, so we may not have a lot of viewers, but I'll be streaming tomorrow again at 10 a.m. Eastern, so hope to see you there. And obviously will not be streaming on Christmas Day, which is Thursday, but I will be back Friday and Saturday, so. All right, take care, everyone. Hope you have a great Christmas, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.